Welcome to my garage. I thought I would show you behind the scenes because it really ties into this interview you're about to hear with our January sponsor, RASA, and the CEO, Lopa. So first the garage. There's my truck. We all know my truck. Love seat, an ottoman that has been quite shredded down there by Muffin over the years. So that is older than Gabriel. So that's like 25 years old. But you know, when you buy quality, it lasts. So I got the material. They're ordering it, and I'm going to get that reupholstered soon in early this month in January. And then here is the Mount Everest of boxes. Like, oh my God, right? I was like moving, unpacking the pod, furnishing a house that I haven't unpacked in 7 years. And so I share this with you, one, to give you like behind the scenes of my life, but two, it ties in to Lopa and I haven't seen each other in years. And in that time, you're going to learn in her story, house burnt down, divorce, friends turning against her, like a real reset, a real, going inside. We both seem to have had this period where we've needed to let go. We've needed to go within. We've needed to deepen our spiritual practice. We've needed to reupholster our life. We've needed to unpack the wounds, the patterns, the lies, to come home to truth. And then for her to step back into CEO of RASA, I wouldn't say better than ever. I'm sure she is better than ever, but it's more real, more grounded, more true, more integrity, more effortlessly in the flow, and a friggin' badass. God, I love this woman. All right, you're going to enjoy this massively. And please, in the show notes, have a look. There is a link. I believe it's alanapratt.com/RASA. And I believe it's Alana with 2 L's, Alana15 for 15% off. I've been using RASA for 15 years, 5 years now, since I first met Lopa. I'm not on coffee anymore. I'm grounded, I'm nourished, I'm calmed, I'm strengthened, and this is how I start my day. And so enjoy this incredible woman and her incredible adaptogen drinks. Love you. This delicious moment of intimate conversations is brought to you by RASA. If your sweet body is craving energy that honors its rhythms instead of demanding more than you have to give, RASA is a gorgeous herbal, adaptogenic alternative to coffee, grounding, steady, and deeply nourishing. Explore their blends at alanapratt.com/RASA and use the code ALANA15 for a loving little discount. Now let's drop into today's conversation. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 14, Dark Night to Divine Light, because we both know intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious ones, and welcome to Season 14 of Intimate Conversations, Dark Night to Divine Light. I'm already friggin' covered in shivers with our delicious guest, and she has really lived many lives in one. And we were just talking before we began, this is her first podcast after, when the theater goes dark for a while. The theater's been dark for 4 years, and we are beyond honored and blessed to have her with us here on Season 14. Lopa van der Mersch. She is the founder and returning CEO of RASA, beloved aptogenic beverage company that has served, get this, over 20 million cups worldwide. 20,000,001 cups worldwide. She is a mother, a truth seeker, and a woman who has walked through profound initiations, burnout, loss, betrayal, rebuilding, and ultimately a return to leadership with far more wisdom, compassion, and clarity than before. Guided by years of deep spiritual study and rare Tibetan masters who helped reshape her understanding of energy and purpose and resilience, Lopa brings a powerful blend of grounded business strategy and embodied intuition into everything she does. And her mission now is simple but radical: to build companies that nourish rather than deplete, that consciously cultivate the human virtues that make life worth living and business worth doing, and show that commerce can be a force of real good without sacrificing our health or our humanity. So we at Intimate Conversations are so proud to have RASA as our January sponsor of Intimate Conversations. And my love, I am so honored. The moment I met you when you had been a guest many, many years ago on Intimate Conversations, I was like, oh, you inspired me. I felt safe with you. You were real. And then I haven't seen you in several years, and a lot has happened. So welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Ilana. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you to everybody listening.
Yeah. So I think, well, I want to go through, and it's all going to be in the show notes, people, alanapratt.com/rasa. And if you use the code Alana15, you can. This morning I did a combo of Rasa spicy rose cacao sex tonic, because I'm dating again. We have a lot to catch up on. And the joy tonic. So we want you all to be able to get 15% off and order many bags of Rasa. But so what happened since last time? I think the last time I texted you is when I heard your house had burned down. Was that the last time I texted you?
I think so.
Yeah. So why don't we start from like the last interview, the last connection, and bring us up to the present moment? We have lots of time.
Awesome. Yeah. It's been a wild ride, girl.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got divorced. I don't remember exactly when our last podcast was, but initiated the divorce process in mid 2022, moved into a new house and started, adjusting into single parenting and CEOing at the same time. And then, oh my God, 3 years ago tomorrow, my house burned down. So yeah, tomorrow is the anniversary. I didn't even put that together.
Wow.
That new house and the whole, I had just gotten it all set up and was like, all right, we're, in this new house. House burned. I mean, that week was wild, just like such a profound clearing. It was like house burned down, lost everything, just absolutely everything. And we still don't know how the fire started. It's like this, mystery, just a total mystery. Although I have now my ways that there were also like a profound amount of synchronicities around it too. And so there was this sense of like, I'm held. This is fucked and intense, but I am held.
Wow.
And like 2 days later, my car, not at all related to the fire, but needed to be like totaled, sent to salvage. I lost my ID. I lost all of my data. It was this like massive identity clearing.
Whoa.
My best friend, 4 days later, who was going to move into the house, like completely turned on me on Christmas Eve and like just stopped talking to me and got very angry at me as I was making a GoFundMe for her after my house burned, because I had insurance and she had lost some things because she was getting ready to move to the house. So it was like, my very closest friend, my car, my ID, all of my data, my house, everything I owned, gone just in a week. And then found out I had Epstein-Barr virus, had a bunch of health crises hit. My neighbor lost some trees in that fire. And though the fire was determined by many investigations to not be my fault, that doesn't mean that you can't still accuse somebody and sue somebody. So he saw RASA and thought that I was very wealthy, and so sued me for $2.3 million for trees that burned on his land. It was settled out of court. But it was a very like vicious, litigious, like trying to take me down, trying to take RASA down, like, really had something out for me. So I was just being like, I went completely underground.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I stepped back from RASA. What was also very wild was the day of the house burning. I had actually it was a multi-month lead up to a decision to step back from being CEO of RASA. Yeah. So I had decided that. I was in the process of when do I tell my leadership team? How long is it going to take to find a new CEO? You know, all of those like really deep consideration. It was a decision. It wasn't, I had been waffling for months, but it was clear at that point. And then while I was in that consideration process, my house burned down. And in that massive cleansing of every aspect of identity, there was also all of these blessings that started to come in. And I had, you know, these Tibetan masters like literally showing up at my house, and I ended up hosting them, and I wasn't even asking for this to happen. And it just started showing up, and I started receiving very profound teachings and guidance, and having just tremendous opportunity there to get into the deeper wisdom as everything was collapsing around me.
My God.
And so it was a period of just profound, rapid transformation, and being given the tools very directly, which, you know, I'd done a lot of spiritual practice and study before, but this was just at another level and at the right time. And I was primed to receive it, to be able to like weather that storm. And I'm not saying it didn't frequently take me to my knees, and that's proper and appropriate, you know, but also I was fine, you know, like I was fine, and I was being molded, strengthened, you know, like vitalized, rediscovered in that process through really working with my mind and being, you know, like there are so many ways that we can practice, you know, and so many different ways of creating experience and bringing ourselves depth and emotional healing and spiritual awakening and all of that. But I think one thing that's often very simple and overlooked is like, what are we doing with our mind? What is our mind? How, what are our thoughts? What is the nature of our thoughts? And really looking into that as all of this chaos was happening, and also being like accused on many levels. You know, divorce does weird things in community, and so I was losing friends left and right. You know, it was just like the whole ego structure was kind of held down by life, and now I do feel like a phoenix rising.
And you are. Your eyes are different. I mean, they're beautiful. They've always been beautiful, but that I can see, they let me in. They're different. I can sense you've been rewired or rearranged or rebirthed, or it's amazing. It's more you, more you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It does feel like that. Yeah.
The art behind you, I just want to comment before we move on. Is this also part of the Tibetan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Taras?
Vajra Yogini is there in the middle. And then these are two incredible Tibetan masters in the lineage that I, most study in. Yeah.
Wow. So just breathing it all in. Clearly your soul is, magnificent to be able to go through that level of carnage and identity. I'd love us to even just say for a moment, identity's dying. I have an idea of what I believe that means. When I do the intimacy work that I do, the feeling through the traumas, the wounds in the body, and when they get integrated, there seems to be a survival mechanism created to weather that wound, to survive that wound. And I call it an identity. And I can see them getting destabilized and then collapsing and falling, but never all at once like this. Like there was no good luck ego. Like there's sorry, backseat, like ready for your soul, identity-less vessel of light for your soul to come into. Tell us about what you thought an identity was, what it really is now that it's many are gone, and then stepping into CEO again, but not as like replacing the old way you were the CEO, a completely new being. That question makes sense.
Profound question, which of course, because you're a profound being. By the way, do you have a lot of Scorpio in your chart? I'm just curious.
No.
Interesting.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Anyways,
Scorpio vibe.
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You know, there was identity is such a fluid thing, and we often think of it as like, there's all these things that we kind of concretize and call a self and say, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And there was a lot that I had built a self around that was slightly off center. And on some level, I knew that. And on some level, I wasn't willing to face it because of the cost that I anticipated that it would mean to, really be authentic moment to moment. And I say that instead of like be myself, because again, what is the self? Like it's a very, very fluid thing. But there were a lot of identities that I had concretized that were invested in people pleasing, were, just this really skillful, artful masking that, showed up in a very authentic way. And there was a lot of authenticity that still came through, but was just still a layer on top of, or layers on top of. And I think that one of the things that we do in waking up is we, ditch those layers, and we become clear about where they came from and why we're doing that, and what were the wounds that caused that adaptation, and how we're okay without that adaptation.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a significant part of that whole destruction process was letting go of and a forced reckoning with these identities and structures that I had built that weren't 100% on, and I think that like I can look at myself and be like, I'm such a dynamic person. I appear, I show up very confidently. Like I was getting the reflection all the time that like, yeah, this is you, like, yeah, you're so real and raw. And I am, I'm not saying that I wasn't, but still like, I
Slivers.
as we get more and more awake, those subtle like overlays, become more and more important to actually really look at and let go of. And also, as we build more complexity around us, if you're off by 1 degree, but you're going on a 100-mile journey, that it makes a big difference, and so like, and as you're building relationships and community and business and all the connections that come from business, and that's been a very interesting process to come back into the business. And the first like month or two that I came back as CEO, I was like devastated by the visceral feeling of the manifest results of my actions that were not exactly in accordance with what felt true.
Such as, what did it look like? How did it show up?
It looks like, I think the best way that I can sort of, I can talk about it like a little bit stepwise, because it's this amalgamation, it's this cloud of like all of these decisions. But, it was slightly compromising for my ex-husband and his advice. It was listening to this mentor and saying, well, this is what business is supposed to be. And well, if you want to improve the bottom line. And, there were many, many ways in which, RASA has always been a very high integrity, high ethical, high sustainability business. Yes. But there were still ways that I did compromise along the way, because that's what you're supposed to do, or because somebody that I outsourced my authority to, said that I should. And then again, you add those up, and then I stepped back, and other people started making decisions around that too. And I, consciously gave the reins over to somebody else, and they made decisions, and I wasn't fully involved in those sometimes. And then I came back in and was like, like, this product doesn't quite feel in alignment, and our messaging is a little bit off. And like, where did do people still trust us? Because this ad that we did, I don't believe it. I don't, and so there was like, you add that up many, many different times, and the relationships within the company, and the subtle compromise trust. And I mean, like I was like, that first month or two, I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there was this huge returning to essence of my own self and identity.
Yeah.
And I want to bring one piece back to that, but I want to close this loop. And then there was, okay, now I have to do that with the business, you know,
Yes.
and it's not any kind of divergence or reinvention. It's actually going deeper into the essence of what's really true and authentic.
Yep.
Then really just leading from that place and not fucking compromising, like just not being like, you know, I don't really care if this makes financial sense right now. This is actually what we're doing, you know, like, and I am going to take this risk and I am going to, and we are going to run this business radically, you know, like we're just going to do it. And I don't give a fuck if the prevailing wisdom is that this is just how business is and we just accept these kinds of compromises. And that is a hill I'm going to die on. And that also includes not compromising my own health. And that was something that I burned myself out massively. The first few years of running RASA, I really needed to step back to deal with the chaos, but also to like just get my own health back on track and refine my inspiration. But the business being in alignment with my values and the business being organized around what's healthy, sane, humane, for how I operate, for how my team operates, and each of the, you know, individual idiosyncrasies of how each of us works best.
Yeah.
That's just what we're going to do. And if the business can't survive because of that, well, then fuck it, it's going to die. But I don't think it is. I am like leading the army, leading the charge of like, we're going to prove that this is doable and possible.
You're fucking extraordinary. This is the new earth, the new world, the new dimension, the new paradigm. This is it. I am not compromising. And the depth and purity of conviction of where your truth is coming from, you've been initiated to get there. Like, it moves me to tears. Like, your don't give a fuck isn't ego at all. It is like fierce fucking love and beautiful feminine leadership. And you could have given up, gotten bitter, turned away, blamed, settled. Like, all of those choices were there. You didn't choose any of them. You just kept refining and refining this sword of truth. And now you're bringing it into the world. I'm just moved. So moved and inspired. Wow.
Thank you.
And you kept kiddos alive this whole time. Like, oh, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And they're watching you, like, your resurrection right before their eyes. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, going back to that identity piece, you know, and the really, you know, consistent, profound wisdom that I received from some of my teachers, like, at our core is compassion and love and kindness. Like, that is what we're made of. And how that shows up, you know, is dependent upon so many different factors. And you know, we call all those things a self, but doing consistent training and practice around, like, I'm going to cultivate love and compassion for this man who's suing me, you know, and who's really trying to take me and my parents down. It was a whole thing, you know, and not having that be some kind of spiritual bypass override, but actually getting into, like, how much does he need to be suffering that this is the choice that he's making, and this is how that this is what's happening, and genuinely steeping and cultivating in that, and then getting to the place of, like, okay, I have this business and I have these responsibilities and I have these kids, and, like, how, like, let's bring that into this, you know. And that's my main teacher is very big on, like, you don't have to, like, leave the world, you know, like, you have your responsibilities, you have the ways that you're being asked to show up by life. And so how do we bring that essence of compassion and wisdom and, like, a genuine wish to benefit others through every interaction in your business, in your work, in your life? Like, may this ripple out and benefit others. that became what really motivated me, is like the laboratory and the challenge of like, how do we really do this in a business context?
Yep.
So much ethical compromise and so much compromise around our health and wellness and what's good and virtuous and wholesome and kind and true is expected. Like those compromises are just expected as soon as you enter into like any kind of transactional environment. And like,
Yep.
can we just flip that whole thing on its head? You know, like, let's just do it.
That's what I'm sensing, feeling, hearing. I'll call it third dimension. There's a winner and a loser. There's always a compromise. Right. And there's a battle, like who's superior, who's inferior. Like I'm not playing that way anymore.
Yeah.
And we could call it fifth dimension. It's a win-win-win. You win, I win, the world wins, right? Humanity wins, consciousness wins. It's a completely different way of doing things. And there aren't a lot of examples. And you are an example of this, finding your way in real time, in the present moment, raw, and forged into a strength and a conviction that the world absolutely needs. And so if you go deeper about the compassion piece, because I've evolved, I guess, or expanded my compassion never seemed to include me. It was like I had to be compassionate, which then I went very quickly into settling. And because I'm so resilient and strong, I can go without. And that way,
I know that one very well.
okay, so the compassion now, and I'm teetering because this is all about you and Rasa and all the rest of it. Another time we'll probably just have a cup of Rasa off camera, whatever. But there's been a death and a rebirth while having to stay present and pay payroll and take care of clients. But it's been a very interesting couple of years for me as well. And I'm like, okay, so how can compassion include me? Like compassion for me too, like self first, not from the old ego way, but from if I'm not whole, I cannot give from the overflow, and it's not good for anyone. And so tell us about a deeper definition or embodiment of compassion.
Man, that's like right at my core, one of my core tasks, one of my core quests in this life, I think, is because if you're familiar with the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 2. And so my ego structure is built around being other centered. You know, it's just like, I am just, right there, just going to like automatically be like, I am so sensitive to your needs right now. And I'm extremely resilient. Yes. Yeah. I'm extremely resilient, capable, like have a wide spectrum. I can fit whatever you need, you know? And that was like a whole, that was a big part of the structure that I had built around myself, and not really, I hadn't included myself.
Yes.
I hadn't included myself in the compassion. I hadn't included myself in the needs. And this last couple of years,
my loves, I want to take a soft pause and share something that has become a sacred little ritual for me. You know how so many of us reach for coffee to wake up, but then we end up shaky, anxious, strangely disconnected from our bodies? I wanted something different, something nourishing, something that actually listens to my nervous system instead of overriding it. And then I found Rasa. I've been drinking it for years now, and it's one of the few things that's actually stayed. Rasa makes these beautiful herbal coffee blends with potent doses of adaptogens, mushrooms, and botanicals, all sourced with reverence for life itself. They give you energy in a way that feels steady, grounded, and alive in the body. When I drink it, my energy doesn't spike or disappear. It stays with me. There's this gentle sense of clarity and calm strength, like my system is finally being met instead of pushed. I drink it when I want clarity. I drink it when I want calm strength. I drink it when I want my day to begin with reverence instead of reactivity. If you want to try Rasa, they've created a special gift for our community. Go to alanapratt.com/Rasa and use the code Alana15 at checkout. Your energy deserves to be loved back into sacred balance.
also with some great therapy, has been really and I'm very much in process on it, but it's like include myself. And I think it's very important for people to know where they're at. So, like if you're listening to this and you're aware that maybe you're not other centered first, and it's more, hey, I'm really good at centering myself. And I'm not saying that in any kind of judgmental way, but just for us to be matter of fact about like how we're structured, how we show up. We need to have the discernment to know like, okay, the balance is a bit more in either centering others, or the balance is a bit more in centering myself. And that's going to just create that, like the mandala around us is, like, cause we have this mandala of our life. And if we're resourced and we're coming from overflow, then it's going to flow into that whole mandala, no matter how big or small it is, and I think that that's also something like, there can be a very big pressure to, like, I want to make a big impact. I want to do things. I'm sure many of the people listening, now are like very capable, high performers, have huge hearts and huge capacity. But sometimes like we do need to be like, oh, like this resource, gosh, there's some business podcast I listened to at some point. I can't remember, but they were talking about you have to protect the asset. Asset of yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And
slowing down enough to protect ourselves. Listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. And sometimes that's like, I just need to really, like, sometimes when I'm doing my practice and I'm cultivating compassion. Last night this happened actually. I was like, oh, I've gotten too other centered. All of the love, compassion, joy that I'm cultivating right now, I'm just giving it right to myself. Right? Like, and just actually basking in my own that feeling, like that goodness, and increasing it and magnifying it and rejoicing in my good qualities and celebrating the wins that I've had. And it's just like, oh, wow. Sometimes it feels like water on parched earth, you're just like, didn't realize how revolutionary that is. And then sometimes there's that space to be like, well, I'm doing this also so that I can live longer, so that I can be kinder, so that I can benefit others more. And then sometimes we have tons of resources and we don't even have to think about it. And then we're just giving, and we're just in overflow. And knowing where you're at amongst those is really important, I think. And that's part of, we have to, have that sharpness of mind and be really honest with ourselves and where we're at.
Yeah. I love this. I coach, and I am coached, and an assignment I've taken on for the 30 days till our next call, they call it an occurring world. And this practice you were saying about loving yourself, this one, I used to have it that the identity, my old identity, the world's out to get me. And as you were saying, just if you're slightly off, and the ramification of that.
Yeah.
So as I would go back just an inch, just a millimeter, just back into the past and seeing everything through, we'll see. And that happened before all of my stories, or going an inch forward into, well, the world's out to get me. What do I need to do to protect me? And all of that work to come is just into the center as I can. And then from this place, I get to choose. You were saying at the beginning of our conversation, the mind, what are the thoughts? And a new thought, the world lives to wrap me in protective care and exalt my very existence. Just a 5-minute practice. I literally take a blankie and I wrap it around me every morning. It's my 30-day practice. And I feel wrapped in protective care. And my nervous system, if I don't slow down to do that, goes a little bit forward and a little bit back, a little bit forward, a little bit back. And I'm never quite here. A little bit of survival mechanism. So I love that you're sharing with us the importance of discernment and what do we need to be whole, and what does that really mean, and at rest, and the truth that comes from that, and the confidence that comes from that, and the compassion that includes ourself, and then running a business from there. Wow.
And not losing that thread, and keep it. I think when you talk about the blankie practice, it's like finding that inner refuge, that whatever is going on out there, and having such carnage, I like that term, carnage happen in my own life also gives me such a like, like I can weather anything. If I can be okay in that, I can be okay in, a lot of different contexts. And,
Yeah.
part of working with our mind and part of doing these practices is so that we can be less and less and eventually maybe not swayed, no matter what somebody's saying about us, praise or blame,
Yep. Yep.
no matter what external factors might be happening, we can stay centered in our own inner refuge and, be of benefit to self and other.
Yeah. So as we move into you move into the first couple months of being CEO again, and you're juggling kids. I remember when we were first got reconnected, you're like, well, this is my week with the kids. And then I've got my, then I got my week at work. And I was like, what incredible, healthy, sacred boundaries of what you like, the roots that you need to create the shoots. So real nuts and bolts for people listening. And I want to go into, why RASA and all of this for humanity as well. But what did it really look like step by step of how you maintain to the best of your ability your wholeness, your center, your core as a mom and as the returning CEO?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And there are a lot of nuts and bolts there. There's a lot that I do. And one of the things, just to, point at what you pointed at in our text exchange is, I'm getting more into just the understanding of when I am in mom mode, there's just not extra space,
Right.
there's not, I can't do as much practice. I can't do very much exercise. I have to do the bare minimum on that. I'm really bad about texting people back and, like all of that stuff. It's work and mothering and
Yep.
a baseline of basic care, like
Yes.
I don't do much housework during that time. It's
Yeah.
just like that's kind of what happens. And then when I don't have the kids, and this is, one of the blessings of divorce is that it's, it's one of the curses because I miss them terribly, but it's also a blessing
Yep.
that I have that time to, it's
Get it.
full on when I have them. And then it's, I get to catch up with myself. I get to do more practice. I get
Yeah.
to, that's when I do deeper exercise. And so I just kind of have this like pulsing mode and I'm just getting more in a rhythm with it. I'm much more rigid with my routine and my schedule when I have the kids, because if I'm
You
not,
have to be.
then I don't get a chance to practice. I don't get a chance to exercise. And if I don't do those two things, I'm just worse off all the way around.
Yeah.
And I do have to like, I have really gotten into this revolutionary practice that I highly recommend to everybody. And there's this little button on the side of your phone, and
Oh.
yes, it turns it off. It turns it off. And I have learned that if I don't fucking do that,
Yeah.
9:30 every night, then I will, it just,
An hour later.
it's
Yeah.
programmed, I'm so wired. We are all so wired. This thing is so there to take advantage of those weaknesses of our mind and the little dopamine drip that we get.
Yeah.
So it's off from 9:30 to 5:30. Sometimes I keep it off till 9 and, until I start work in the morning.
Nice.
And I've fallen off of it a little bit lately in the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, oh, this is what happens. See, I have to actually turn it off. Last night I turned it off.
Yes.
Like, yep. So that's been a very core practice for me, and getting my phone out of my bedroom and not using it as an alarm clock anymore has been huge. I put my phone next to my meditation space, and then I don't turn it back on until I've done my practice in the morning. Those have been really massive for me.
Wow.
And, it doesn't have to be a lot. And sometimes, like if I didn't sleep so well, it might be, I do 5 minutes, I do a little bit of movement. Another practical thing is I'm taking less and less calls on Zoom, and I just put them on audio and I walk around my house so that I'm actually getting some movement, and I pace just while
Great.
I'm doing calls. And that's actually great if I don't have to be in front of the computer taking notes or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Helps
Great.
a lot and just gets me up from the desk. That,
Yep.
sitting all day is not so good for any of us.
No. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. So those are some like really tactical, I'd say like big win things, like I started really looking at like, well, I don't feel like I have enough time to meditate when I've got the kids. And then I was like, how much time are you spending on Instagram? Real about this. Which would you rather be doing? Which would you rather, And so like,
Yeah.
just really being kind to myself through discipline, like not,
Yes.
imposing upon myself and like a should, but like, this is actually what I want. And so I want to make the choices that are conducive to that.
I love this.
Yeah.
I
From a
love
place of self-love.
Yes. And you're beautiful and feminine. What is your juiciness, fluidity, yumminess, feeling grateful in your body and held in your beauty and just, making love with life practice.
I love music and I dance. I curate a lot. I would say, in my own opinion, but I've also got this reflection from a lot of friends that I'm an excellent music curator. And if there's a great song that comes on, I work to music when I'm not on calls and stuff. I just get up and I dance and I move and I like get really down in my living room.
Oh, that's so good.
I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then, the other thing that I've been really loving lately is I have been making like medicinal baths for myself. Just like the most I've been getting into the energetics from the Ayurvedic perspective and the Tibetan medicine perspective. I have a lot of wind, and so I'm trying to calm my wind. And so I make herbal teas, really strong herbal teas with herbs that help to calm the wind. And then I put that in the bath, and I've been using like beautiful grass-fed milk in the bath and rose water and warm up sesame oil and then some Epsom salts and just like, it makes my skin feel like silk and just, it's like so grounding and so nourishing. And I'll light some candles and just have a really delicious bath when I don't have the kids.
Wow. This is a beautiful segue over to what is made with rasa, with all of the herbs and the adaptogens and all the rest of it. Like it really is who you are, all the way down to your sensual practices and your grounding and your baths. Like I light the candles, I put on the music, and I got the Epsom salts. But the idea of the bath being this infusion.
Yeah, it's like I'm steeping myself.
Yes, like you're a tea bag into hot water.
And it gets in through the skin, and it is amazing. Yes. Like these herbs are fantastic inside, and I usually do drink a cup of rasa while I'm in the bath.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, I'm just getting it on all levels.
Levels, inside and outside, and through your pores and through your cells. Oh, I love this. So yeah. I've been obviously drinking rasa as soon as I knew it existed and you existed. And so I've been off coffee for years and so grateful for how this makes me feel. So explain about rasa as we move into more about this incredible product and why you are a stand for it, and how it supports people's well-being and the planet.
Yeah. Well, there's so many things, and there's so many, it's interesting because I'm getting deeper into the essence of like, why did I start this business?
Yes. Tell us. As
it grew and as we were on this, beautiful, rapid, but exhausting growth trajectory for a while, it did get a little bit removed from some of that. And so now we're going, much deeper into the essence of like, why does this exist? Now that there's all this competition in the mushroom coffee space and the adaptogen space, like how are we different? What are we doing differently? And like, how do we communicate that? Yeah. And what I would say, really, the quality of our thoughts, the quality of our food, the quality of our relationships, going back to identity, one of the thing that I wanted to come back to that I mentioned earlier about identity. Yes. I'm going the deep dive on this. So,
I love it. Bring it. Yeah.
In answer to your question, but the environment that we put ourselves in, the choices that we make will, like, we have thoughts, emotions, responses in response to that. The media that we consume, all of that. And I am not, I think a lot of people project on me that I'm like a super hyper purist who like only ever eats organic and like, all of that stuff. And I'm much more about the the joy and the intention. You know, if I want a bag of Sour Patch Kids at the movie theaters, I down it and I fucking love it. And you know, like, and I take care of myself, and I'm fortunate. I know there are many people who would be like, I wish, because it might, like, you know, really cause some distress. And I am fortunate in that my body has the strength of constitution that I can just do that when I want, you know. And, you know, it's not that I like never watch a, you know, intense violent film or something like this. I fucking love CIA movies and shit like that. And, you know, like, but it's about like, what is rasa? Rasa, the actual meaning of the word rasa is taste, nectar, alchemy, juice. It's the feeling of enlightenment. Rasa is also there are 9 rasas, which are like the 9 core emotions in the Hindu tantric tradition, and so the rasa, it's like this juice of life. So what gives you that juice of life?
Yes.
And in the rasa products are herbs, intention, quality, potency that are all designed to be very aligned with that fundamental essence of the juice, the nectar of your being. Rasa, actually, rasayana is the study of longevity, and rasa itself, one of the ways of looking at it is through the lens of, in Ayurveda, it's ojas, which is when you see somebody who has a glow, they have a lot of ojas. It's this nectar in our body. It's this refinement of, it's actually the refinement of the sexual tissue and the sexual juices that comes, it's a like a spiritual essence that gives us a glow. And when we are in a sensual relationship with what we're drinking and the quality of the herbs, we're using like the top quality of things. And I've had, and this is a thing that comes up in business. They're like, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be a little bit better than everybody else. And I'm like, fuck, can we just fuck that? Can we just fuck that with like I just want to make the best, most beautiful thing possible.
Yes.
Like really the best quality products, the most sustainable that we can. Like, are we taking care of, do we care about the people that are growing these herbs? You know, and the herb industry has become quite commodified, and it's just like, I'll just buy the cheapest price, you know, whatever. We have direct relationships with the majority of our farmers and the people that we're buying the herbs from. We're doing relationship-based buying instead of transactional buying. And all of that matters, you know?
Yes.
We might like to think it doesn't matter that much, but you know it's different when you go to the farmer's market and you're buying from the product. You know, like you feel that. It goes into you in these unseen ways. And I think that actually is one of the most important longevity plays. It's the quality of our relationships.
Yes.
And we are trying to make relationships with our customers, with our suppliers, with our vendors, so that the whole thing, and I pray for every single customer, every single person who's ever seen an ad or trolled an ad or whatever every single day, that, you know, they are just uplifted and benefited by this product. And then we have to make sure that the science is also aligned with that. You know, it's not just like enough to be like, well, here's like a, you know, not that effective products, but I pray on it, and the relationships are good. And that's really important.
That's the balance, the harmony.
The balance and the wisdom and the discernment, you know, it's not just, you know, hopes and prayers and thoughts and, you know, thoughts and prayers. It's also like, what is the potency of an herb that's going to actually, that has the scientific studies that show that this is going to have X effect in your life.
Yes.
And so we consult all the scientific literature as well as the traditional use to make products that have the potential to change your life, often in these more subtle, you know, sensual, like unseen ways. It's not going to hit you over the head for the most part. Our bold products and our calm products are a little bit more hit you over the head. But I think so many people are attenuated and accustomed and addicted to like an experience chasing that is not like, I feel like that, you and the people listening and the people that are on this awakening path, it's about subtilizing, it's about nuance, it's about getting in touch with that, like, that deep, juicy nectar, and like, how do you cultivate that? And this is really going to nourish that from within. We've had some of my favorite reviews, and people have talked about it, and multiple people have talked about the energy that you get from rasa in this way that's like, it's an energy that comes from like within and beneath, and just like supports and sustains you. And that's a different, like that is, it's an energy for longevity. I've gotten very interested in longevity too. And just really taking care of myself on that side of things. And when you're thinking about like how you're prioritizing both your health span and your lifespan, you don't want to keep like hitting your adrenals with a hammer for like, oh, get the quick energy hit, oh, get the peak experience, oh, it's about like, how are you deepening into your energy? How are you subtilizing? How are you cultivating the subtler qualities and appreciating the nuanced aspects of your being and your energy? And these products are designed to support that have that intention, and will nourish your organs, and will help balance your nervous system, and will, and it's different because everybody reacts to herbs in different ways, and we're using adaptogenic herbs. That's the kind of the main thing that we're centered around, because adaptogenic herbs are just incredible. And depending on what your system needs, the beauty of adaptogens is that they'll elevate what needs to be elevated. They'll downshift what needs to be downshifted. And, that can happen. That happens holistically in the body. That's one of the core defining features of what makes an adaptogen in the scientific terms. Is that it has to work holistically in the body. It works through the neuroendocrine system, which is kind of the master wellness system of your body. And so, these are changes that you might notice over weeks and months as you drink it consistently. And then you're just like, wow, I just have a little bit more space between stress and response. And in that space, what am I doing with my mind? And, how am I cultivating and being on that trajectory to the person that I'm aspiring to be, as opposed to just like sort of that instant reactivity that comes from nervous system dysregulation. So, I would say one of the core things that adaptogens do is they put a little space between stimulus and response. And they're not going to fix the stressors of your life. They're not going to take it away. But if you're wise and you're, cultivating that sharpness, and, like, oh, I'm going to catch that space. I'm not going to do that thing, I'm not going to have that reaction. I'm going to like use my practices, and wow, I'm having big emotion right now. I'm just going to feel that and be with that and have compassion for myself in that moment, in this moment. And and then I'm going to consciously choose my response instead of react.
Completely.
So, that's the deep dive.
I love the deep dive. And that is all about what we talk about around here, being sovereign, having choice, responding, being grounded, being in allowance, having compassion, all of these capacities. What are we doing to support the development and evolution of those capacities? And having that, as you said, like that hit. I just remember before meeting you and being on this path, and all the choices I've made for as well, my longevity, my health, my well-being, my business, etc. It was like, I could just, the image is cup of coffee while running somewhere. Right. And it wasn't savored. And I wasn't tasting the nectar of heaven in my mouth and in my body, and feeling it swirl through me in gratitude in my morning ritual. No, I was running. I was schlepping off to preschool, and I was running on the company, and I was running 2 companies. This one in India was up till 10, 11 at night, and up at 5 a.m. And then the other company in the middle of the day. And and my version of the universe going, there's the rug. We're going to pull that one out. That's not sustainable, sister. And the difference now, and the way I wake up, and the ritual and the taste and the feeling in my body and the capacity that this provides to take that beat. I was literally having my holiday team bonding call this morning before our interview, and I make space for truth and reflection. And very, very vulnerable truths came out from the team who's in, India or the Philippines or Colorado. These, RASA supports my capacity as a leader to sense, something's off with this employee. Let's make some space. Yes, I have my agenda of what we want to accomplish, but that's secondary. Truth is primary, and taking care of them. So I love who I am. And with the use of my ritual for myself, the ability to listen to my team, to be a great coach, to be present to you on this interview, to be my truest self, humility, and a lot more sovereignty. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel your grounding in all of this. I feel like we both have like landed deeper in the last couple of years since our last.
Yeah, it only took us 4 years. It's all good. Like, it's
a fast path, actually. Yeah.
Well, logistically, all of you, I'd like you to go to it's all in the show notes, of course. And there's so many different products to choose from, but alanapratt.com/RASA, RASA, and use the code, my name, Alana15, for a loving 15% discount. So you can begin your RASA journey or continue it, hopefully, if you've been listening to me for years and years speak about this product. Part one. Part two, allow this to nurture your life. Like, where can I create a little more ritual? Something I already do, but I remember, like, I could have my rasa, or I could have it with my son in my lap while we just meditated together, or we just talked about the day together, or we talked about the bullies, or we talked about, stars and strawberries, whatever it was. Like, utilize this incredible drink to make a normal moment more of a ritual, more of a sanctuary, more embodied, more listening to truth. That space that it creates, use it well. Or if you're alone, kindness with yourself, listening to your soul, the whispers of the universe. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your extraordinary journey with us. I'm so deeply respectful of your humility and courage. Yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot more about how to embrace why life does what it does. Like, I honestly have felt kind of alone in how quote unquote hard it's been. Not that I'm happy at all of the hardship you've been through, but I feel like a sisterhood of like, oh, this is somehow what we signed up for, knowingly, unknowingly, as leaders, humble, feminine, divine leadership. This is the sharing of what goes on behind the scenes, I think, is very important. So others listening, women and men, who are being stripped to the bone, to the core, to the soul, you're not alone. You're loved, you're seen, you're prayed for, you're cared for, you're nourished. You're not alone. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful journey. How would you like to complete this delicious, in so many ways, conversation? I feel like I'm tasting heaven in my body. I can hardly feel where my edges are and the universe begins. I'm just in this other dimension. I'm so grateful for the frequency that you've cultivated by your beingness. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You brought up taste a few times, and that's something that we really focus on a lot as well. Is it has to taste good, and I think the thing that I wish for everyone listening is that you find the tastes that work for you, like in your life, find the things that bring out that juiciness, that aliveness. And don't worry so much about identity and purpose, because both of those are incredibly fluid things and are going to change moment to moment. And if you can just find that inner refuge, then whatever is happening in the moment, and if you're having that compassion with yourself and that honesty with yourself about what's coming up for you and what is alive for you, then you can trust your becoming. And it doesn't have to ever be so solidified and so serious and condensed into an Instagram bio, though those are useful. We need to have them.
Yes.
But I think that sometimes we can get very kind of caught up in like, well, this is who I am. And so, I'm a person who takes care of myself. I don't need Sour Patch Kids, or whatever. Yes. Just like let yourself be and find the taste of joy in your life, whatever that looks like, and be unabashed about what that is.
Oh, thank you. I'm seeing you like this core, your central column of truth that you keep coming back to. And then you've got your 9-12 arms and like, I can do this, I can do this. And I'm fluid about this identity that I can change my bio. I can do it. Like I'm a mom over here. Like, but Lopa's right here. Yeah. I can feel it all. And isn't that, I think, being alive, our spirit and our humanity. Yeah. So gorgeous. Oh, I adore you. I'm so grateful to have connected with you. I so deeply feel you, see you, appreciate you. So hopefully, listeners and viewers, this has been the sweet nectar of this conversation hasn't just kissed you all over. And take a moment when you're done, if you'd be so kind, just 2-3 minutes. Maybe put your feet on the earth. Maybe just close your eyes, hand on the heart. Maybe you're a writer, take out your journal and let the stream of consciousness flow, but allow the energy of this conversation to somehow shift the trajectory a little more. Lopa was saying, I was just a little bit off here or there. Allow it to bring you home in your truth, your alignment, your synergy with your soul. That would just bring each of our hearts pure delight that us coming together today could ripple into your beautiful life in ways that we will probably never know. But we still send you so much love and light. Thank you for being with us on Intimate Conversations. And Lopa, thank you, sister. Love you with all my heart. Thank you again to our January partner, RASA, and their exquisite CEO, Lopa, for supporting Intimate Conversations podcast. If you're ready for energy that meets you gently and nourishes your nervous system, instead of asking it to push harder, visit alanapratt.com/RASA and use the code ALANA15 for a special offer. Take exquisite care of your beautiful nervous system, my loves. Until next time. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. I know it's not normal to want to live in a furniture store, but I kind of do want to live in this furniture store. I just found a chair for the meditation area in the guest room. And what I want right now is a cup of rasa. That's what I really want. It's in my travel mug in the car. But once we get this chair home, we bought a Christmas tree on sale as well. And so I'm going to put up my Christmas tree in January, not December. It's totally fine. And I waited for my girlfriend to get here to decorate it. There's some things that don't need to happen on the exact day. Every day is a celebration. Every day is a day to slow down and feel. Every day is an opportunity to be grateful for the hard stuff and the easy stuff. This conversation with Lopa really showed you a woman who's gone through the fire, and she is deeper, calmer, more aligned, more unapologetic than ever, more radiant and beautiful, more inspiring. Please follow her also on Instagram. In the show notes, please get some rasa for yourself and really feel the difference in your body to have energy and calmness, but no jitters, and how your day looks, how you're able to be more present with yourself and with the people who you love. And so all of those are in the show notes. And this conversation, I hope, really inspired you, touched you, moved you. So please share it with a friend. Please rate, review, and subscribe so that more people can see this podcast, and allow Rasa and Lopa and Alana
to wrap you in our love and our compassion for whatever you're going through, and our encouragement for this year to be, what is it, the fire horse year, numerology 1 year. May this be an amazing year, and may RASA and Intimate Conversations support you on that journey. I love you with all my heart.